9/11, 20th anniversary, we remember the terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001, changing the United States and the world forever. Almost 3,000 people were killed when two planes hit the World Trade Center in New York. One brought down in a field in Pennsylvania, and Flight 77 hijacked and crashed into the Pentagon, the headquarters building of the U.S. Department of Defense in Arlington County, Virginia. The attack fresh on the mind of a retired Air Force colonel who was also head of personnel for chaplains at the time. Monsignor Carlo Montecalvo tells me historical tragedies stay with you forever, especially when you're in the middle of it. It's 20 years, but sometimes it just seems like it was yesterday. You get that feeling?
I agree with you. There are certain moments that are burnt in your memory, and 9/11 is one of those moments for me. I can remember where I was in history class when John F. Kennedy was shot. I remember waking up as a junior in the seminary college when Robert Kennedy was shot. When I went to bed, he was alive. And I remember 9/11 as it was yesterday. Our main emphasis was on deploying chaplains and their assistants in support of President Bush's war on terrorism. So our whole focus of the chaplain service, as the whole focus of the entire Air Force, changed on that one morning. And so I reported first to Bowling Air Force Base. Just the security to enter that base was unbelievable. Every car was searched. There were mirrors underneath all of your cars by security forces, and we were led on base. Of the people that I met who were in the building, I think adrenaline kicked in, and I did not meet anyone personally who said, I'm going to give up on life. I met many people who said, we're going to rededicate our commitment to fighting this war on terror that is brand new, that we know nothing about. So I learned, the people I met doubled down on their commitment to first learn about terrorism, understand how it could develop in people's lives, what we could do to combat it. It's different than the lessons we learned in Vietnam. It's different than the lessons that we had prepared for preparing a war against China or the Soviet Union. And so we had to come up with a whole new educational skill to try to understand what the new enemy in the world was the United States was going to face.
And it was really rooted in hatred, when you think about it.
People who were willing to take their own life for a cause. How do you combat that?
Difficult.
And those are the issues that Intel and mental health and the chaplain service were trying to get at. How are we going to combat that in our world today? God doesn't cause evil in our world, but He permits evil to exist in our world. If God did not allow evil to exist in our world, how could we then say that God allows good to exist in our world? God created us all with a fundamental option in our life, and it's up to us to choose either good or evil. And it's a daily challenge with each one of us.
Monsignor Montecalvo says while people were trying to get out of the city, many were going in to help save lives. Coming up tonight at 6, what the area looked and felt like after the deadly attacks. We remember 9/11 20 years later. Almost 3,000 people were killed on September 11, 2001 in New York, Pennsylvania, and here at the Pentagon in Arlington County, Virginia. Terrorists hijacking American Airlines Flight 77 circled over downtown Washington, D.C. before crashing into the U.S. military headquarters. Immediately after the attack, a group of chaplains on retreat nearby were ordered back to their posts, including retired Air Force Colonel Monsignor Carlo Montecalvo, Montecalvo, who at the time was Chief of Personnel for the Air Force Chaplain Service. He said there was total gridlock getting around the city that Tuesday, but after that, a much different scene. Streets and waterways were deserted.
What struck me the most was no traffic. There was no traffic on any of those rivers, only patrol boats. They were afraid of the vulnerability of those 3 military sites, Leslie McNair, Coast Guard, and the Washington Navy Yard.
Even after 9/11, the days after, they were still afraid that buildings would get attacked.
No boats were allowed on those 3 rivers. They were afraid. They didn't know what was going to happen. Another thing that struck me was the silence. There was a silence, and the only thing you heard were helicopters, military helicopters going from Andrews Air Force Base to the Pentagon to the White House. There was a triangle, and you would hear whop, 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 whop. And there's the military helicopters was the only sound that you could hear. The third thing that bothered me was the flame and the smell. You could see the Pentagon burning. You could smell the Pentagon burning. And that's because what they once thought was a leak of water was thousands of gallons of fuel that was burning when that plane impacted the Pentagon. I was like, all of us were just dumbfounded. We couldn't believe that the Pentagon, which we would consider like the mothership because all orders went from that, was attacked. And how would a plane come in and hit the Pentagon? We were just incredulous that this was going on in our country, knowing that we were a group of chaplains who supported men and women in uniform, who were to provide for the defense of our country. And here our headquarters is now attacked.
Monsignor Montecalvo says before 9/11, there were 16 chaplains of all faiths assigned by the Air Force. After the attack, 189 were activated and deployed. Coming up tonight at 10 and 11, the Monsignor talks about how the attack could have claimed more lives and the heroic action of so many people.